What up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate everybody that's gone out of their way to follow and subscribe to all three of my YouTube channels. I cannot thank you enough. I know how valuable your time is, so I wanted to try to add as much value and save you guys as much time as possible. Everybody keeps asking, when is the bull run over? Are we going into a bear market? What type of assets should we be holding on to? So I've went back through and I've clipped out the best pieces. I think the pieces that are going to add the most value and help you guys make the best educational decisions when it comes to investing in crypto. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give investing advice. This is all just the best clips from 2022 so far. I think these clips will add a lot of value. If you guys could do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, swing over to Twitter, follow me at ShotsByMeta, and let's dive deep.
Coin network is inherent to the product. So where do you think the price of Bitcoin is going from here, and how much does it matter?
Up is where I think it's going. Listen, Kelly, when the monetary policy, the supply, the issuance of the asset is known, the only missing variable is demand. And people are in high demand. The Federal Reserve has perverted risk tolerance across all assets, and the savings account has been robbed of the everyday person. They have to store their value in something else. Housing is not going to have every 4 years. There's not a fixed supply on any precious metal, any security, any equity. Bitcoin is the premier asset, is designed and engineered by us human beings to resolve of this exact problem of preserving and storing and saving wealth. And so I think it's up. It's going to appreciate against any denomination it's paired against.
Is it, though, Jack, a different environment? All of the arguments that you're making, now we have a Fed that's out there talking about, tightening policy quite considerably.
Listen, I mean, Kelly, it's an insurance policy. The Fed and our government said a lot of things that were lies. What do you want to do? You want to start trusting them now? No chance. And it's really quite ridiculous. The Federal Reserve has perverted risk tolerance across all assets. No one knows the cost of anything, and it's really jeopardized the middle and lower class in particular. And now you have venture capitalists raising billions of dollars and advocating that people store their savings and their kids' college tuition in cartoon drawings of deranged apes called NFTs. It's an absolute madhouse. It's disgusting. And Bitcoin is the signal. Bitcoin is the peace. Bitcoin is the future. It's the only monetary policy that's defended within a truly distributed network that we can rely on. The rest is noise. And whether they're lying now, telling the truth tomorrow, lying next month, it doesn't matter to me because I've subscribed myself to a monetary policy that I can trust and I know won't change.
As you see, Jay Powell and the central banks around the world are in panic mode. They're printing at a level that you'd have to compare to Weimar Germany or Zimbabwe, and they're literally about to torch this economy and the fiat money world down to the ground. So there's only one unconfiscatable, uncensorable money in the world, and that's Bitcoin. And that's the fundamental story. So you should own it. You should own it aggressively. If you're a trader and you're looking for trader signals and technical analysis, I agree with what Peter Lynch said about technical analysts. They're 100% correct when looking backwards. They're 100% correct in predicting the past, right? I don't know of a single technical analyst billionaire in the world. Technical analysis is essentially astrology for men.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What do you think are the best protocols right now for mass adoption? In other words, what is the next Bitcoin, Ethereum, so on and so forth?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but what I will say is that if you look at what it would take to have, say, 1 billion people use cryptocurrency, to have 1 billion people use blockchain infrastructure, right? If each one of those is sort of using it in the same way that we use social media or finance today, that's going to be creating probably millions of transactions per second for the blockchain. And you can see this if you just look at the transaction throughput of current large, financial, social media, or basically any large online application. And, from that perspective, one thing that I've thought about a lot is what are the blockchains that could scale to that level, that could scale to millions of transactions per second in a composable native way. I think I've been on the record a lot saying that I think Solana has a real shot at doing so, which I think is really exciting. I think, there are other tokens out there as well that are aiming to scale quite a bit. Avalanche is one of them. But I think that is really the thing that I look at the most because, a lot of other parts of the crypto ecosystem are really important, but are also things that can, in theory, be improved for basically any blockchain. I think the core technology of it is something which is much harder to completely overhaul.
when you were on and I asked you, well, when you come to your forecast, how do you come up with these forecasts? And you say you have that's your secret sauce. You have proprietary information. You're just not making up numbers here. So when you say, so the all-time high for the hash rate, is that part of the equation that you're looking at?
Hash rate precedes price. So hash rate is the strength of the network. It adds to the security. It's something that no altcoin or what we call shitcoins have, including Ethereum. They're all centralized and they're all vulnerable and they don't have any hash rate at all, really. Whereas Bitcoin has most of the hash rate, the overwhelming majority of the hash rate. The hash rate keeps going higher. When countries like El Salvador make Bitcoin legal tender, now my understanding is that several other countries will follow suit and make Bitcoin legal tender as well. That's another huge fundamental plus for Bitcoin going forward. The 4-year cycle, which is tied to the halving that happens every 4 years, has been a somewhat reliable predictor of price going back to the beginning of Bitcoin. I've lived through 3 90% drawdowns in Bitcoin since I first started buying it in 2011. And this particular drawdown is not particularly worrisome. It's a great buying opportunity. People are always saying, oh, Bitcoin at 75,000 or 65,000 is too expensive. I wish it were cheaper. Well, okay, it's cheaper. So you should be backing up the truck, loading the boat aggressively. Only have money in fiat shitcoins or gold that you're willing to lose. Any money you have in Bitcoin is unconfiscatable, it's uncensorable. That's your only wealth. That is your only wealth, is your Bitcoin wealth. Everything else is confiscatable or going to be inflated away out of existence.
Then if we look, well, if there's high inflation, shouldn't wages be going up? And hopefully they're going up faster, right? Well, it doesn't matter, actually, who is the president, because what we see is that ultimately we are getting a increase in wages, but the increase in wages is not keeping up with inflation. The average increase in wage is not actually able to combat the increase in inflation. And so most of the employees who got a pay raise did not get a big enough one, and therefore they're actually getting paid less in purchasing power terms today than they were pre-high inflation.
And we'll get to gold. I always get to gold with you at one point. But sticking to the hash rate, why are you confident we'd see an all-time high in the hash rate this year then?
Once a country in the G7 starts to accumulate and mine Bitcoin, it'll set off like a space race that we saw in the 60s where the Soviets put up the Sputnik satellite and it launched the space race and a man landing on the moon. I think once a G7 country comes out and says, hey, we're adding Bitcoin to our reserves, we're mining Bitcoin, then you're going to see other countries say, hey, we got to get in on this. The U.S. will come in. The U.S. will come in and start to mine Bitcoin. You've already got a lot of senators in the U.S. right now, like Cynthia Lummis. A third, as I understand it, a third of all of her contributions coming in right now are coming from Bitcoiners. And now we've got many congressmen and senators that are into Bitcoin. We've got governors into Bitcoin. You've got the mayor of Miami. Wyoming is probably going to become a Bitcoin state. Texas could very well secede from the United States and become a Bitcoin state. So this is the power of Bitcoin. It shows you what you can do with unconfiscatable, uncensorable, perfect money. You start to think differently about the world around you and the governments around you.
The accredited investor laws are going to change and evolve, and it might just be you take a test and you're now accredited. It doesn't matter if you won the lottery or you make $200,000 a year. And a legal crypto framework is going to happen, I think, at the same time.
First, I want to get your outlook on the industry. I don't think anybody has a better pulse on it than you. I'm hearing this from a lot of my friends, even my friends from work, my personal friends. They're all telling me the same thing. They're saying, David, hey, this is the last hurrah for Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies. Come December, we're going to get the last bull run. After that, everything's going to crash. That's just the sentiment I'm hearing. Is that true?
I mean, look, I can't predict the future for sure. Not investment advice. There will always be more crashes. There will always be more bull runs. My best guess is that over the next few years, we may see substantial institutional adoption of cryptocurrencies. I think we've seen a number of large institutions soft commit to using them in one way or another, although they haven't actually started implementing that yet. But I think that potentially provides a big set of inflows on the medium to long-term horizon over the next couple of years.
They're telling me I have about 2 minutes, Jack, and I have about 10 minutes worth of questions. So let me just try to get through this quickly. Is Venezuela next for you?
Everywhere is next for us. The novel thing about Bitcoin is it takes the property that makes internet companies valuable and important is that they have a target audience of all 8 billion people. It is an open, global, singular network. The good thing about Strike is that we get to sell them money, not advertising. We're delivering one of the most viral products in human history, and that's money. It's akin to like water to live a high quality of life. And so the combination of that, we get to try and sell money to all 8 billion people, a better financial and superior financial experience. So I'm on a mission to deliver this to everyone that has a pulse on this planet.
Okay, absolutely. If a G7 country were to step in, that'd be a game changer, of course. But how plausible is that for you? How far away?
I think it's 100% guaranteed certainty, because we live in a fiat money world, and the fiat money world is collapsing, and Bitcoin is the go-to currency if you want to have unconfiscatable, uncensorable, perfect money. You're going to go to Bitcoin. That's the choice. So, and also in this region, in Central America and Latin America, El Salvador's economy is going to be, they're going to report a 10, 11% growth. Next year, they're looking to do 20%. So now all the countries in this area are like, we're not going to let El Salvador, grow without being challenged at all. So we've got other countries in the region who are now saying, yeah, we want to jump in and we want to get in on this and we want growth as well. So in Africa and Nigeria, for example, you see huge Bitcoin adoption. Now you've got all kinds of countries in Africa who are going to leapfrog the whole 20th century build out of the banking infrastructure that has kept them essentially a colony of the Wall Street banks. They can leapfrog that and say, you know what, we don't need any of the Wall Street banks. We don't need any banks at all. We can do everything we need with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is our bank. We can save, we can transact, that's our bank, and it's growing like wildfire. So a lot of these things go unnoticed because what's happening in Central America or in Africa don't make the nightly news in America. They're too concerned about Nancy Pelosi's eyebrows or, distractions.
On the topic of central banks, that was another part of the equation to your forecast, that we would see one central bank fail in 2021.
Well, Daniela, I said a central bank will collapse. Lebanon collapsed, so that's pretty good. I put that up against any of your other predictions and prognostications of any of the other guests.
Suppose we do have a crash, because like you said, things come in cycles, things come in waves. Suppose we do have a 2018 style crash. What kinds of projects do you think would survive this downturn in the next bear cycle?
Yeah, and I think that generally the projects that you see surviving the best are the ones that have huge, really loyal followings and the ones that have really important use cases. I think the ones that seemed more like hype driven often crash the hardest. But when you look at projects that have either a lot of real adoption or the potential for a lot of real adoption, those are projects that, loyalists are going to be backing even bear markets. And so I think that you're looking at, blockchains that could see huge adoption. I think you're looking at various exchanges and other infrastructure players that are going to be key to this space going forward. And, anything else that seems like it has an important future that can't just be sort of replaced by a competitor.
Jack, it's great to have you back. This is a big deal, but do you think the government will be as receptive as El Salvador's was?
Yo, Kelly, Happy New Year. Let's change the world. No, I don't. Listen, Kelly, I'm not a government consultant. I'm here to change the world, push our species in a direction that I think will make the world a better place. And the El Salvadoran government aligned with the vision and thought Bitcoin was a useful tool for their citizens. The Argentine government, that's not my job. I'm just impressed with my team, impressed with Bitcoin and the tool set that we've been allowed for with what Satoshi created and making the world a better place. We're giving the people of Argentina a monetary asset, a monetary policy, a monetary network that they can rely on and make free instant cross-border payments that subscribe to an asset and a store of wealth that is external of any government or central party intervention that's really pained them over the last 100 years.
Well, and Argentina obviously has had such a tough time with inflation. I know when I visited there about a decade ago, they basically said just use your US dollars because that's a better way to do business around here. Don't even bother changing it into pesos and back. So I see the use case. In El Salvador's case, it's not like you partnered with the government to go in there. You launched the app, it got really successful, and then they wanted to look into that. So I'm just going to be curious to see if you're successful in Argentina, if you're met with sort of similar, should we say, tacit approval by the authorities there, or if they would have any reason to say, you know what, we don't want our citizens doing business this way.
Yeah, so Kelly here, this is what I think is interesting is that you're exactly right. The inflation that has plagued Argentina, their unit of account is US dollars, and demand for dollars is through the roof. In the parallel black market, a dollar is worth twice as much as it is according to the official rate. So they are looking to store their wealth in something else. Many of them use Bitcoin, but even that is too volatile for them. However, their ability to make payments, Kelly, this is a cash economy. People buy houses with cash. They are not even allowed to use payment networks that are denominated in dollars. The Visa network that operates on US dollars does not work in Argentina. It is banned. And so for Strike, what's really interesting for us is offering them a convenient cash collateral. They like their daily spending cash collateral to be in dollars, but interfacing that cash collateral over the Bitcoin and Lightning network, making it seamless to make instant free cross-border payments. And so to the individual, if you want to hold as much Bitcoin or as little Bitcoin as you want, that is up to you. What we allow you to do is hold a dollar-like cash collateral, but then use the Bitcoin network under the hood to escrow the value to make for digital seamless payments and excuse them of this really monstrous cash-based economy.
So Sam, given that Solana does have many qualities that supersede Ethereum, do you think it's possible for Solana's market cap to exceed Ethereum's market cap at some point? And if so, can we see that happen anytime soon?
It could happen. It could never happen. And I think that one of the things we've seen is, look, there's sort of the underlying blockchain protocols. There's also the tokens affiliated with them. And, there is certainly an extent to which these tokens can follow the adoption of the protocols that they're tied to. There's also an extent to which they can gain, mass adoption, even if their protocols don't, right? And, I think Bitcoin is probably the cleanest example of that, where it is by far the largest cryptocurrency and the most known cryptocurrency in the world. And that's not because people are using the Bitcoin blockchain for a lot of things other than Bitcoin. The Bitcoin blockchain is for Bitcoin. And so, which is the long way of saying, look, you could see mass institutional adoption of, ETH, the token, whether or not you see mass institutional adoption of Ethereum, the blockchain. And so it's hard to make a concrete prediction about what the pricing action of that will be. And on the flip side, right, you could see Solana fail to gain mass adoption on the blockchain side. I'm optimistic that there is real upside there, but that doesn't mean it necessarily will be realized, right? Maybe it has serious issues. Maybe another blockchain comes in and competes, or maybe no blockchains end up managing to get where we all think they have a shot at going.
Do you think Solana could be the base for more DeFi applications in the future?
Yeah, I think it absolutely could be. And I think that is one of the most compelling parts about it, is that it does have the potential to scale to the place where things are needing to scale to if blockchain gets huge. And it has the potential to host DeFi applications for hundreds of millions to billions of people on top of it with a giant composable ecosystem. Again, that's not saying it necessarily will happen, but it could happen. And I think that's really exciting.
Well, generally, there are a lot of problems with Ethereum that Solana has fixed. One of them being high gas fees, the low transaction rate. Do you think Ethereum 2.0 is going to fix some of these problems?
It's going to take a different approach to them. What it's going to do is use sharding. And there are pros and cons to that. The pro is that it's easy to parallelize it, right? It's easy to get up a number of threads at once, each computing different things. That probably will bring down blockchain costs, bring down, confirmation times quite a bit. The cost of this is that there won't be native composability between transactions on different shards. And so if you imagine taking a single order book and sharding it, it doesn't really work, right? Someone puts out an offer at 5,000 for one ETH, and then two people on two different shards both want to buy that ETH. They can't do it, right? Or at least one of them can't do it. So they're not on the right chart to do so. And so that sort of is the cost of sharding.
Interesting. I want to talk about just looking at protocols at large. I've been getting this question from my friends who have a traditional finance background. They say, hey, look, David, there's no cash flow, there's no DCF to analyze. How do I pick a protocol to invest in? What are some of the other criteria that maybe they weren't taught in a business school to look at.
It's tough. And obviously, like, part of this is like memes, right? Like, that's not something that people are usually taught in business schools. But if you look at investing nowadays, not just in crypto, everywhere, memes are really fucking important, right? Like, they drive.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Sam, because like memes are like, we were taught to stay away from hype. We were taught to avoid the crowd. But that's exactly what the meme is.
It is. And I think that one of the things that we've seen is, because of social media, for the first time, 100,000 individual unaffiliated investors together can be bigger than a pension fund and can move markets in a way which is lasting, not just a flash in the pan in some cases. Now, in some cases, it is a flash in the pan, right? Meme stocks, meme tokens tend to be very volatile. They tend to be risky. And you should absolutely not put anything more than you're absolutely willing to lose into them. It's an important part of modern investing is understanding meme cycles. And so I think that sort of is like, one pretty important factor that I think doesn't get necessarily, it's sort of time of day in business school classes. Outside of that, future protocol adoption, looking at what projects might be building, how much value might be transacting through a protocol, how much fees might people be willing to pay to use that protocol in the future if it gets to the point of adoption that it could get to.
All right, YouTube, so that's a wrap on my first recap. I have a couple of these. I couldn't fit it all into one video because I know hour-long videos are a lot for everybody. So every once in a while, I'm just gonna be throwing out a lot of great educational content. I'm gonna be going through and I'm gonna be reacting to a bunch of different clips. I'm working on building an NFT squad. So once or twice a week, I'm gonna have a panel of like 4 or 5 people that are really big into the NFT space, because I think that that's where there's gonna be a lot of opportunities to make a lot of money when the market's kind of bearish like this and assets just really aren't moving and everything's kind of just stagnant. So we've been packing our bags. We go live every Monday and we hunt moonshots. So we're still going to be hunting moonshots every Monday, but another couple days a week, I'd like to start another live stream for panels. So if you guys know anybody that's big in the NFT space that would like to come onto the channel and help educate and share their knowledge with everybody, tell them to shoot me a DM on Twitter. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for stopping by the channel. Again, my name's Ryan Mata, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Peace.